Hello, welcome back. We're here with the Cosmic Convos. Today I'm actually joined by my friend Will, who hosts the channel Analyze This. Will, please, you want to shout yourself out real quick so the viewers know who we're talking to here?
Yes, thank you. I will take a quick moment here to say that, if you look for my channel, Analyze This, with the blue and greenish logo, and it's not Analyze This from the Robert De Niro, Billy Crystal movie that usually pops up, but if you search for Analyze This and you filter it by channel, you will find my channel. But yeah, I'm basically just a commentary channel that discusses video games, movies, shows. I'm a big Star Wars nerd, so there's been a lot of videos on Star Wars that I've come out with, a couple more, coming down the line, some video games I've reviewed, and I'm the king of nostalgia, so I like to review and do commentary on older games and things like that. So if you're looking for just a nice channel that you could just listen to while you're doing your homework, doing your laundry, taking a nice drive or something, I'm your go-to for that. So, but of course, check out all of the Cosmic Cowboys' great content as well.
Of course, you're already here. All the links to his channel are going to be down in the description below. But, I talked to my friend Will because we're both big Star Wars fans. And, God, you know what? Star Wars is just it's either like really awesome or just digging its own grave currently. And so I was like, you know what? Analyze this. Let's analyze the future of Star Wars. What do we think is going on? I just want to start out with the movies because that seems the biggest question currently. Because I know they just from what my research has just educated me on is that the director of Thor, Taika Waititi, his trilogy or his movie was canceled. Is that what? Am I correct in that?
Well, honestly, it's almost like nobody knows what's going on because it wasn't a trilogy, but he was supposed to get a standalone movie. And, they went from announcing it or talking about it like probably a couple of years ago at this point. And then all of a sudden, I remember finding out that like last year, supposedly he admitted that he hasn't written the script yet. Like he was kind of, I don't know if he was like having writer's block or what, but, the original rumor was that he was supposed to supposedly have that script ready to go so they could have started filming it in probably 2023, because the one rumor or source I keep hearing through articles and other YouTubers and content creators, I don't want to say, that everything I'm saying right now is 100% accurate, but the speculation is that Disney wants Lucasfilm to come out with a movie in 2025. So that would mean they need to like literally have something written this year so they can actually, film the movie, do post-production, all that stuff. It takes about a year or so to make a movie, especially if it's Star Wars. So his movie's not canceled, but it's kind of, I guess, maybe in a state of limbo. That's the short answer.
Dude, why haven't they come out with a movie since 2019? I just did a quick Google search. Episode 9 came out in 2019. It's been it's like almost 4 years since then. And it's like, there's no information like concrete that a movie is foreseeable. It has a set date. There's none of that. And it's like, what are you doing? You have the biggest franchise in the world, and it's just a shit show. Why? Why does it have to feel like
ever since Disney Plus came out, and I mean, this goes not just with Star Wars, but with like Marvel too, where Star Wars and Marvel, they went this direction. I guess Marvel's still better than Star Wars in terms of they've actually still come out with movies, but like, there was that big focus on, hey, like, let's, we have Disney Plus, let's start making shows. And they were just, Marvel made shows about just about anybody and everything, for these future supposed characters they're going to be going with. And then you had Star Wars that, they did some nostalgia stuff like with Boba Fett or Kenobi. And then, I mean, their prized possession is The Mandalorian. So I think they wanted to test the waters with doing shows, which I think is cool, but I'm with you. I'm kind of surprised there hasn't at least been some kind of announcement about movies coming out yet. And I think that's because, and Kathleen Kennedy has come out and said this, and even Bob Iger, now that he took over Disney again to right the ship over there, is that they both admitted that they're taking their time with coming up with the next movie or whatever their big concept's going to be. They're recognizing the issues they had in the past, which I think is good, but I think we're getting to that point now where it's like you got to come up with something.
Yeah, no, but it's like, okay, if Disney owns Marvel, it's kind of crazy that they could simultaneously like chug out all this content. But it's like, man, Star Wars has had, it was the first major franchise, I'd assume. Then followed up was Lord of the Rings, and then like Harry Potter, and then Marvel, where it's just like kind of like Star Wars is the entrepreneur. I don't, what would you call it?
They're like kind of like they're leading, like
they're like the first ones,
yeah.
man. It's just like, what are you doing? And like, okay, like I'm on I like you could I forgot what the phrase is. Sorry. There's like a phrase that goes like, "Oh, I'm on like the fence about watching the new Star Wars TV shows that have come out with the Bad Batch or Andor." Cuz I'm a simp for the Mandalorian, which I'm doing my series like review for right now. But it's like I can't get myself to love this new Star Wars content. Like, we've had discussions before, it just doesn't feel like that Star Wars magic like a movie can produce, and the Jedi and all of this lore. And it's just like, I mean, it's a cool concept, Andor's, but it's like, I also really don't give a shit about like these minuscule like conflicts that don't really lead to any like big changes in the universe. It's like, I know where it goes between episode 3 and 4, and it's like, I just can't bring myself to care all that much. So how do you feel about the shows? Do you feel like they're the right direction or what?
Well, when I spread them all out on like the table and I just give an overall look at everything that's been announced or came out or whatever, I'm like, okay, you're getting a little bit of everything. You got some kid stuff, some animated stuff. You have, some nostalgia stuff, old fans like us that, love and appreciate Kenobi and the Book of Boba. And then you have new stuff for maybe even newer Star Wars fans, the newer generations like Andor. And unfortunately, I think the problem is it's just they've done some weird storytelling things where it's just like the main character whose name is in the title of the show gets, cast aside for an episode or a chunk of time.
Oh, really?
Well, I mean, like referring to like, because I know you've watched Boba, you watched Kenobi, like, they put these other characters on the pedestal and put them to the forefront with the spotlight on it. It's like, I'm sorry. And I said this, and I actually just made a video called Star Wars Storytelling is Frustrating, where I explain this stuff in greater detail too. But it's like, people are watching Kenobi to see, Ewan McGregor come back, see Hayden Christensen come back. We're here to see Obi-Wan Kenobi and Darth Vader. And, they push Reva, they push these other characters. You're watching the Book of Boba to see what's Boba's story after getting out of the Sarlacc pit. And then they inject Mando season 2.5 in the middle of that, which was cool content, but they just pushed him aside. And then they also changed Boba's character kind of to begin with. So the ideas they have there, the show ideas are great, but it's just questionable storytelling. And I'll just say quickly about Andor, as much as I could sit here and say I'm disappointed that you haven't watched it, I understand why you haven't, but it worries me that people like these newer generations of Star Wars fans think this is like Star Wars gold, like this is the best thing we've ever had, and the quality of the production was top notch. I'm not going to deny that, but it scares me how I've seen people say that Tony Gilroy's, I believe he's the one that wrote the show, that these writers did a better job than whatever George Lucas ever did in Star Wars. I'm like, are you kidding me? And it's just Star Wars. Andor doesn't totally feel like Star Wars, and it just doesn't do anything new and unique that warrants the excitement people get. You had basically a heist, you had a prison break, and then you had another, we're gonna protest and start a rebellion. Those are concepts we've seen in not only Star Wars before, but
Yeah.
the history of Hollywood. So that show does nothing new other than make new stories for characters that aren't really in a good, unique way.
I'm kind of frustrated too. A lot of people don't give the Clone Wars a chance because it's animated, and it shows like there's like so much evidence out there that like a lot of people won't give animated series or movies a chance. Because I know, I'm sure you might share the same opinion as me, but Into the Spider-Verse is one of the more better tier Marvel movies to come out, and it's animated, but it was still like one of the lowest financially successful Marvel movies, and it's such a shame. It's like, wow, this movie is like so good and better than a majority of the live action movies, and in fact some of the Spider-Man movies itself. And it's like, man, if you would give this animated stuff a try, because you have such great characters like Ahsoka, you have like a bigger redemption story for Anakin and his a greater story for his fall. And it's just like, man, if you would give this stuff like more a chance, like there's just so much better writing out there. And it's just like sometimes with the Mandalorian, I think it was like episode 2 or it was episode 3. I mean, it was good, but it was also kind of a slog at some points. And I'm like, what am I watching here? The day-to-day life of a regular guy? Like, okay, like, I just don't care that
Can
much.
I give you my two problems with it?
Please.
Is great, as interesting as it was, as great as the production and the creativity. I mean, Coruscant looks beautiful. It was interesting to watch, but my two problems are, one, the placement of it was poorly timed. Like putting it right after Bo-Katan's home got bombed, and that we had literally TIE interceptors chase and almost kill Bo and Mando. It's just blows my mind that like as soon as they escape that dogfight, we don't see Bo have any reaction. We don't see anything Mando say. Like they just survived that attack. They just got out of Mandalore. They got redeemed in the waters. We didn't have a conversation or anything. Like they just all of a sudden they cut to 40 minutes. The next 40 minutes is this story, this long drawn out story that it's like, it's interesting. You're telling the plot of the new bad threat that's happening. However, it was 40 minutes of a hint to it. We still don't really know what's happening. Also, they hinted to Moff Gideon supposedly escaping the New Republic custody. I think I would have rather have seen his prison breakout, or was he getting transported and somebody, the Imperial warlords or whatever, busted him out, like attacked the ship and all that. Like that might have been cooler than seeing the scientists live their life in the amnesty program.
You know what? You made such great points.
I don't want to hate it, but I'm just like, who cares?
No. Who cares? Every point you made. I want to start with your first point. Bo not really like being able. You didn't show me Bo digesting what just happened to her. Like that is her home. That's her home.
She's been bullied for so long. I mean, the Empire destroyed her home to begin with. It's just, I'm like, it's unbelievable that the two main characters that we've in this, now that we're halfway through this season, the two main characters have been Mando and Bo, and then we just cut them off.
I'll tell you one thing: I did not see Bo coming as one of the main protagonists of the season, and I really like it.
I'm all for it. Yeah, it's a nice surprise.
Give me her Fortnite skin, goddammit, Epic. You make that deal, you sign it now.
I would consider that for sure, yeah. I would if they brought it into the store.
She's just a badass to me now. Now I kind of want to rewatch the animated series, The Clone Wars. The last season, in fact, just to
and she's in it a lot, too, at the end. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But, no, yeah, you're right. The Moff Gideon thing is huge, too. It's like, it's kind of like Palpatine suddenly returned. It's like, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, they're gonna skip over the details of just how did he escape New Republic custody. I mean, I'm assuming he had a bunch of guards or he was in a high max prison, and it's just that's what makes me laugh though. With them is like they will go over the interesting characters, the people we care about more because they're more vital to the story, and they're just like, he broke out of prison. Okay, we'll touch on that later. 40 minutes of people living in an amnesty program, on Coruscant in the New Republic era, and then they throw in these hints of the New Republic's not that good because they're brainwashing people. I get the whole thing of not every the good guys aren't good in everybody's perspective. The bad guys aren't bad in I get the message they're doing there, but who cares right now? Right now, who cares? Like this is about.
That's how I feel.
The Mandalorians. Yeah. That's how I thought the season was. Like another thing I brought up in my frustrating storytelling video is that like I feel like I have to go back and watch the trailers and the teasers for Kenobi, the Book of Boba, and even Mandalorian's season 3. Because I'm like, what is the show about? Because what they're showing you is not what it was. Boba was, they're showing him at the table with all the other crime lords, and you think he's trying to get revenge or stake his claim on Tatooine. That wasn't the case at all. Then you have Kenobi. You thought it's going to be this ultimate showdown between Vader and Kenobi, and it was a little bit that Vader was trying to go after him. However, then you're injecting, Reva and Princess Leia and all this other stuff. And then lastly, again, with Mando, I thought this season was supposed to be about Bo-Katan and Mando do all this stuff. And it is, the focus is there, of course, but they're just going through it quickly. Like the journey has been chopped up into like, okay, we're doing this, then we're skipping ahead. We're doing this, we're skipping ahead, and here's the Coruscant stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you know what? For spending 40 minutes on the Coruscant stuff, you made a great point in saying, like, we don't even fucking know what the big ordeal is with them. Why are they showing it with us? Because if you take 40 minutes out of a movie, that's like precious time. Yeah. And you're established with so much. There. That's what I'm saying. There's so much, like, what's it called? Exposition that should be like just laid out. Why are we watching these people? I think it would have like resonated a lot better with me and the majority of fans if I knew what the fuck I was supposed to be watching. Like, what am I digesting here? Are these the bad guys? That's only speculation right now because we're on episode 4, just aired. I believe tonight episode 5 airs, which is pretty cool.
and Bad Batch too. Both shows actually, despite it sounding like I'm shitting on them, like I'm excited to watch them. I'm staying up watching them at 2 a.m. when they release because I don't work until the middle of the afternoon the next day. So it's like I'm taking advantage of this opportunity to be able to stay up, and that's how big of a fan I am. I'm still, I know I'm very critical of the storytelling, but I'm still watching these shows. I'm still excited and eagerly awaiting to see the stuff that happens. It's just I'd be lying if I didn't say I'm scratching my head,
Yeah, a lot of questionable writing. How do you feel about the games, though? Because people who might not know, me and Will live relatively close to each other, so we hang out. We were playing Battlefront the other day with Preheated Panda, actually. I'll link his name down in the description, too. But we were just talking about how, like, LucasArts had such a handle on Star Wars gaming. Star Wars games were coming out like 4 times a year. Different variety, different genres. It was amazing. It was like Christmas like 4 times a year. And it's like, with Disney, it's like, come on, are you going to produce anything? We've had Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor coming out, but it's like, I feel like I'm limited here on Star Wars content and like games. And it's like, why are you doing this to your fans?
I mean, isn't that amazing? Again, like, it's amazing how many times this franchise, which should be a goldmine for any company, whether it's Disney or a game developer getting the rights to make a game from Disney, it's amazing how many times this franchise has gotten mishandled or just poorly used. Like, the ideas for making a game should be endless, just like the ideas of making a movie or a show in the universe should be endless. It's sad that it seems like EA is the only developer that's really been able to touch Star Wars, especially with the Battlefront games. It's Respawn Entertainment that's doing, Jedi Survivor. They did Fallen Order, which was a successful game, a great game. I'm going to be playing at some point this year. Survivor, it looks really good. It's just sad that we don't have more games like that. I mean, even like a multiplayer shooter. Like I love the OG Battlefront games, and that's what we were playing when we were hanging out the other day. And it was good to just go back.
So well, still.
Yeah, I mean you get old graphics, old feeling to the gameplay, but it's still fun to play. And it's just, and this is something you hear on my channel all the time too, and Nick, I annoy you with this all the time since I'm so nostalgic, where it's like, I just miss the days when games were simple, Like, Battlefront,
yeah, I know.
This current Battlefront 2 should have been 10 times better than what it was. The first half of its lifespan was ruined because of having to play like 10,000 hours to unlock Darth Vader to get enough currency to unlock him to play him. All this pay-to-win bullshit and all that. It was EA ruined the first half of this game. And then just when it got going again, got popular, they took that stuff out. Clone War, the final season of Clone Wars comes out, they literally announced like months after that, we're going to stop providing service to the game. They could have literally added other clone troopers. They could have added like Captain Rex, Cody, Ahsoka, Bo-Katan, all these characters and other troops and appearances and battles and vehicles and planets. They could have kept going. At least maybe one more year of service, or like, here's the Clone Wars DLC. We didn't get it. They just when the game got good, they nixed it. They said we're moving on.
I think it's weird that they have this like mentality to make games grindy so that they keep the player base.
It's Star Wars.
But it's almost like, okay, we were able to jump back into the old Battlefront games. All the characters, all the maps, it's like all the guns are all like unlockable within the match you're playing, and it's like, why don't they understand that's how you get people to still come back and just play? Because you could just hop on and you don't have to be like, oh, dude, I have to unlock Darth Vader still. Like, I still have 40 hours to go. It's like, that's not the issue with those games.
Yeah, people aren't playing Star Wars Battlefront to be competitive. They're playing because they want to drive an AT-AT. They want to fly a clone gunship. They want to be Darth Maul and just chopping up clone troopers. They want to play with their friends. They want to, scream and run away from, Count Dooku, who's chasing after, using like his Force dash and coming at you with the red lightsaber. Like, you want to relive those great moments, those planets, those battles, those characters, those vehicles, all that. You're playing it for fun. This isn't freaking esports. This isn't Call of Duty, like unlocking gun camos and character or operator appearances. That's not what this should be. Nobody asked for a competitive, grindy Star Wars game. Should not be like that.
Yeah, no. Just sick of how Disney's handling Star Wars. It's just like, man, come on. What are you doing? The movie thing is kind of just the most upsetting. Just like, I want to be back in the theater to just play another Star Wars game. And it's just kind of... Not play another Star Wars game. See another Star Wars movie. I want to play another Star Wars game too, man.
Well,
Lego
you know
Star
what?
Wars.
Can I bring it back to the games real quick? Because I actually forgot that. Will it actually come out? Who knows? But I think we talked about this before. Do you remember that Quantic Dream developer? They're making that game called Star Wars Eclipse. That's supposed to be like I think it's supposed to be like an open world RPG type of thing.
Yes.
Will it come out? Who knows? I still have a bad taste in my mouth from games like Cyberpunk and Battlefield 2042 not doing very well, and especially with getting delays and stuff. But if this game's not going to come out for like another 4 years and it's supposed to be the ultimate like open world, I actually would like an open world type of Star Wars game. Like, I never really got into playing like Knights of the Old Republic, but I would love a Star Wars like a Skyrim version of Star Wars. Like, let me pick my faction. Do I want to be a bounty hunter? Do I want to be a Jedi? Do I want to be a Sith? Do I want to be a soldier? Do I want to, whatever? Like, let me be in the galaxy and just pick my own path, do my own thing, make decisions, pick and choose my friends, do missions and quests that help me learn new abilities. Like, if I'm a dark side user, let me go visit Sith temples and things like that. Now, that is difficult to make. I mean, it's very complex, but that's another thing. Don't you want to travel in a Star Wars galaxy?
You played Outer Worlds.
Yes.
Don't you think they could make it work then?
Even if they had to hone it in a little bit. If it has to even be maybe more narrative based than open world RPG, like, as long as I can maybe have a few decisions and options between dialogue, factions, like, I get 3 options on how I want to complete this quest. Do I want to betray these people? Do I want to save that guy? Am I going to be selfish and do stuff for myself? Like, let my decisions make an impact, but let me do it in the Star Wars universe. I don't always need to just play Battlefront. I want something more complex too.
See, I think you nailed it right on the spot. I would love to have that experience. And I think Outer Worlds showed us that it could be done. And then you are a big advocate for exploring before the prequels. Me too. It's like, okay, yeah, like, here you have a blank slate. Go for it. You know what I mean? I don't know why they have to make things complicated.
Well, and what's funny? There's a lot of people, and I always butt heads with, like, my friends and stuff with this when we have Star Wars conversations, but everybody's tired of seeing, Tatooine, like, or seeing Luke Skywalker. People are like, oh, I'm tired of the Skywalker name. Okay, well, the the saga was the Skywalker saga. So first off, you can't tell me you're tired of the Skywalkers when that is what Star Wars is. That's the essence, the foundation of Star Wars. We can move on from Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, and all that. That's fine. But you have to have, there's elements in Star Wars that still should be used or focused on, because otherwise this is gonna become a generic space show or a generic space franchise. I don't want it to feel, I don't want Star Wars to closely resemble Star Trek. Nothing against Star Trek fans or the franchise, but like, I want Star Trek to be unique for its reasons, and I want Star Wars to be unique for its own reasons. Like, it amazes me that people are tired of Skywalkers, but they love Andor, and they love the fact that we're showing the Empire again, and Stormtroopers, and the Rebellion, and the Death Star. That's why I'm saying go back in time to all the stuff that led up to, go back into the lore that set up where Star Wars is today. Everything that's been referred to, back when there were multiple Sith before the rule of two, back when it was 100 Sith versus 100 Jedi having, these cool lightsaber fights. Let's learn about the ancient religion of what it is. The mystical force.
Yeah.
Why don't people want to see? Why do we have to? I'm going to use my blasters and stand up to the oppression. That's what Star Wars has been. So let's go to some other cool stuff.
Do you have any other final thoughts?
I'm okay. Thank you for letting me rant. It's I'm passionate about it. I want to see Star Wars continue to succeed. I know I'm coming off as a negative Nancy over here, but like, I still love it. I just want to see some better storytelling. That's really what it is, and hopefully maybe now that EA doesn't have the exclusive rights to games, maybe we get some better games in the future too. More, high quality like what we're getting from, Fallen Order, and probably with Jedi Survivor here soon.
I want to love it. That's why I'm critiquing it. I know it could be so much better. I don't know. All right. Well, thank you again. Analyze this. Of course, your name is Will. Thank you again for joining me. This has been a good discussion about the future of Star Wars. Thank you guys for listening. Just Star Wars, be better. Kathleen Kennedy, get the hell out of here, okay? Disney, just give it right back to George. George was doing just fine. He was doing just fine. And I hate the First Order. Alright, and that's how I'm leaving it. Alright, bye guys. Thank you again.
They hoe on the other dick. They bitch and one young cat. Pia on the track. Bitch, give me back.